All right, we're back.
We're back.
The Gong Show.
Take 64.
Cindy and Jen. Okay, so we are going to touch base on some of the questions, things that you guys had posted in the comments. There's a few here, and I think we've probably covered a lot of this ground, but we had said we were going to come in and just sort of touch base on these things. And again, if there's still more questions or thoughts that you want to share, we want to hear from you guys. So, okay, one of the things someone said was, basically the way it was written was, you know, allowing me to walk away and be silent without feeling guilty. And basically it's a, how can I, right? Sort of walk away and be silent without feeling guilty. So what do you think there?
Well, Sam? I think you have to be comfortable in feeling the guilty, and maybe explore that. Why is it that you feel guilty? You know, like, do you feel guilty because you said no to somebody and you don't think that's the right thing to do? Like, you just have to explore it a little bit. You are going, I mean, people who cross our boundaries are good at making, not that they can't make you feel guilty because you're the only one that can feel guilty, but they're good at throwing the guilt at you. Yeah. Whether you accept it or not is up to you.
Right. And that's the process of detaching from the triggers, right?
And that's why I think that's what you had said before, Jennifer. When you're first flexing your boundaries, you are going to be uncomfortable. You are going to probably feel a little bit guilty because you've always said yes to this person. So why do you think that you're, you know, like when you say no, this time you're not going to feel guilty? It's just that it's the uncomfortableness will get easier as you see that what benefit it is for you to flex your boundaries.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the big thing is oftentimes feeling guilty. First of all, you said it. No one can make you feel guilty, only you. So that definitely is something worthy of exploring. Like, talk to yourself, right? When we make statements, I oftentimes I'll say this in business coaching, when people make statements, they get stuck, right? Like, I feel guilty. So you're stuck. Ask a question and you're freed. There's opportunity to have a fresh awareness, a fresh way of looking at it. Because I find that feeling guilty becomes a habit. It's like your go-to. And you don't know that you're really doing this to yourself. So why are you doing that to yourself? What part of self-sabotage is that? Like your way of continuing a really negative, unhealthy pattern, you know, so that because you don't feel worthy. Like, there's probably a lot in there that you can get curious about and get to know yourself better.
And a lot of times the guilt, if you say yes, it's going to turn to resentment. Mm-hmm. So that's another feeling, you know? So if you deal with the guilt first, and stick to your no, because you're getting the indications that it's not the right thing to do is to say yes. So stick with your no, follow through, feel your feelings, get in touch with why you're feeling like that. You know, explore it.
Yeah. And I know, so in this situation, she's saying like, she wants to walk away and be silent. So really she's choosing, let's say, a response rather than a reaction.
Yes.
And sometimes people recognize, like, I actually need some space to process before otherwise I'm going to react, right? If I want to choose a response, a healthy response of walking away and being silent, then I need time to breathe. Because sometimes you're in the heat of an argument or, you know, whatever with somebody and you want to walk away now. But I would ask, what was happening beforehand? Like, do you also allow that space for other people to walk away and be silent? Because there's a lot of really, you know, fascinating communication things that we have going on with people that we are honestly the better part of all of our problems. I'll just be honest. That's my belief.
Yeah.
So you really have to evaluate, where is this happening? Is this happening just in a moment, or is this happening in the heat of an argument and somebody's ready to chase you down the hall and not let you walk away and be silent for a minute? Right? You can't be in attack mode and then think somebody else is not going to be in attack mode. So there's a lot of, you know, I mean, again, it depends on the situation. But there's a lot of opportunity for some self-discovery. So get curious. I really encourage people to journal. Be honest with yourself. Be really honest. If what you want to do is walk away and be silent, give that space for other people. And I trust me when I say, maybe not in the beginning, but eventually they will treat you in kind. If you repetitively
That's right.
hold that space, they will eventually hold that space for you too. And if they don't,
Well,
that's
it's almost like you're
someone to let
mirroring.
go of.
It's your mirroring, or it's your modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one, how do you say no to family? Cindy and I were talking about this beforehand, and I'm just like, okay,
that's a biggie.
Look into the camera.
Yeah.
No. We're laughing.
What part of no?
This is the hardest thing, I swear to God. These emotionally tangled relationships where there is like decades, lifetime of expectations of you being a certain way, and maybe you're choosing to change that way. Trust that it will get worse before it gets better, probably, but that it's the right thing to do if that's what needs to be done. If there needs to be a boundary and a no is included in some conversation, then you're just know you're going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to do their part, which is absolutely normal, and we expect it, and allow it to come with love, not because you love the entanglement, but because you love that this is our opportunity to feel the discomfort and grow. Like, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to do a hard workout, but I know it's going to be worth it in the end. So the entanglement is part of the unentangling. If that makes sense. The detachment.
Yes.
You kind of got to go through the discomfort so you can get to the other side. Don't fight it. Whatever you resist persists. Don't get into the argument. Like, what's that?
They will be shocked.
They're going to be literally shocked. And especially if you're consistent and you're like, you got a smile on your face, and even though I know how some people say you're clenching your butt, or you're wiggling your toes, or you're doing anything you can do to make yourself not react, but just honor that response of no or whatever it is. And then you need to be silent. And I talk about this as being disciplined. This is where they say success is like little tiny disciplines repeated over time. That's success. Doesn't matter if it's a daily to-do list or following your calendar or honoring. This is honoring you, right? You have to discipline yourself to not get caught up in the fray, to not get pulled into their agenda, but instead to have the discipline to just let them do them, you do you, feel uncomfortable until you don't, and this too shall pass. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And like if you want to play, you could start with a little boundary.
Yeah, flex a small muscle.
Yeah,
not the big one first.
See how that goes. And you're I think we talked about this before, Jennifer, but you are probably going to have people say, what is the matter with her? She's changed.
And be okay with that
she's
too.
different. She's different. Well, yes, I hope that I am at this stage. I hope I've changed. I hope I'm different. I mean, that's a good response right there, but
I know. I heard that a lot, when I went to college and stuff.
I did.
I even got a letter from somebody one time, back in the day when you wrote letters. And it was just like, you've changed. And I thought to myself, thank God.
Yes. Yeah.
And thank you. I remember hearing a fantastic statement from a brilliant woman. I love her to pieces. Rita Davenport. And she said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Ooh, that is powerful.
Isn't it? I was just like, so in that moment, the person showed their cards, right? And even though that can change too, be kind, right? And the fact that probably somebody else changed in your lifetime and you didn't like that, so that's okay if somebody says it to you. I'm grateful that I had grown through that experience. And maybe she wasn't there at that point, and that's okay. I recognize that maybe down the road somewhere, she's going to have an aha moment and catch up. And then we'll have a conversation later on and be able to laugh at, oh my God, I can't believe I thought that. Absolutely. I remember when back then, I thought that was a big deal when somebody went away and, they seemed like they changed or they got caught up in other relationships. Or how many people, friends, get ticked off when you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or, you know, some kind of intimate relationship, and now your priority is them and not your friend. And then everybody's all, you know, whatever. And it's funny. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, you have to make some decisions and be okay if they feel that way. That's just today. And that's okay that they feel that way. It's unfortunate, but I can't change how you feel. And I'm not going to change what I'm doing because this is working for me right now. And if that relationship is worth prioritizing, then I'll do that too, right? But, you know, find that balance, because sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were feeling ignored. Like, this is a relationship that I truly value, and, you know, I'll do better, you know, whatever. But it's really nice when you can communicate and not get so tangled up and emotionally charged by other people's emotions. Right? And sometimes I know I used to get really tangled up in that, which caused me more grief than I think anybody else. So, all right. Okay. So another one was, this individual's home has visitation hours. I know where this is coming from. And okay, so what I would have to say is that when we talk about boundaries, I know we mentioned, and I think that might be the day 2 video that I'm trying to get an audio and put in there. So I really, really hope that you guys get to hear that. So when that comes up, I really want to encourage you to check that out. But when we set boundaries, it is important that we recognize that the boundaries are a sense of self-love for yourself. You're setting a boundary, a line in the sand, based on what's right for you and doing it with that intention. You cannot at the same time as something loving, do it as though it's something at someone else. So imposing something at someone else because you're not happy with the way things are going. Does that make sense?
No. Explain a little bit more.
All right. So like visitation hours in a home, because someone is stepping over the boundary of being in your space for too long or whatever. If you're doing it from a place that this is a healthy boundary for you, and you're doing it in the way of a healthy boundary for you, then again, it's the follow through and consistency that's really, really important. But you do want to check yourself at the door for intentions.
Yes.
Am I doing this for me, or am I doing it at you because I'm unhappy with that you're doing, like something somebody else is doing? Just check yourself at the door. At any given moment, it could be one or it could be the other. But the only way it's going to last and really work is if it's coming from a space of love. For as long as it's coming from a space of resentment or anger or frustration, or when it comes from that space, they will constantly try and beat you down. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But I totally agree. I think that this is, what do we have? What was the ones that you said, like spatial or like whatever, like space boundaries, remember? And this is a great example of some people just, but remember we talked, well, there was like the different things about, well, that was in the second video. We still got to get that out.
Well, I have close talker friends. I'm not a close talker friend, so I'm perfectly fine in saying you got to step back, or I'm not going to be able to have a conversation.
Yeah, I can't even hear you. You're so close.
How it was taught to me is, you're in your own bucket, and somebody puts their foot in your bucket. Yeah. Then you should be able to flex your boundaries a little bit and tell them to get out of your bucket.
Yeah.
So like just a little personal.
The same thing, right? Personal space, like whatever it is. We all have the right, and they're all worthy boundaries. Just check yourself and make sure that the consistency piece is that it's coming from that place of love. Because it is very easy sometimes to establish what we think is a healthy boundary, and it is, because we can justify it. It totally makes sense. But if it comes from a space of frustration, the other person will never take you serious. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the challenge, because then it feels like a big failure. So, did you hear me? I don't know. I think my video just froze. I don't know if the audio did.
You did. You froze for a minute, but the audio came back.
Okay, good.
Oh no.
All right. What's that?
You're going again.
Am I? My
No,
video and
you're okay
everything
now.
seems to be intact here. I tell you, this internet's driving me wacko. Okay, so here's another one. How can you politely ask for more information before answering a question? Like basically this individual's feeling like the question was loaded. Like somebody says to you, are you busy tomorrow? Now, you know there's somebody's agenda is attached to the question.
There's nothing wrong with saying, what do
Yeah.
you have in mind?
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
Like, because people do that to trap you into saying yes fast before you think about it. Then when you find out that they wanted you to drive to New Brunswick and pick up whatever and bring it
And
back.
by yourself. They can't do it. They want
Yeah.
you to go do it. Do something
Yes,
like,
exactly.
what?
Yeah, exactly.
Love to do everything for you. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's a great one. And I have to say, 9 times out of 10, if you don't know how to respond well, like, are you busy tomorrow? If you don't want to say yes or no, ask a question.
Well, I've also said I'll need more information.
Yeah, before I answer that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? And it might feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but also as you create this new habit with that person, because maybe they constantly are trying to take your time. Because that's like people do things habitually, right?
And another thing, Jennifer.
They'll get used to not asking.
Yes, but you don't have to be. You can still be not busy. Like
And still say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's like that's like a part of me. Like if
Right.
I'm like if I have a Friday that I'm not busy and somebody says, "Are you busy Friday?" Well, I may say no, and then they'll ask me something else, and I'll say, "Well, I am going to just stay home and have a like self-care
My
day."
agenda was to actually do nothing, so that doesn't fit in.
Yeah. Busy has
Yeah,
busy
I'm
really
busy
doesn't
taking
have
care of
anything to do with it.
myself today by doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to enjoy it. But thanks for asking.
That's a good one. Yeah. Okay,
I
now we're
always
getting.
find that actually helps too. But thanks for asking.
Yes.
And again, you don't necessarily, you can keep it light. I find if you keep it light, maybe not right away, but eventually other people will keep it light too. It's if you get a bunch of entangled feelings or you're feeling guilty or whatever, then it keeps that whole entanglement going. So if you keep it light, 9 times out of 10, at least at some point, they're going to ask, they get a response, and they move on. They're going to go find somebody else that's going to do, like, basically live to their agenda.
And it will get to the point. It will get to the point where they'll go, okay, because once you start with your boundaries, people get used to them after a while. They know that they can't, that if
You're
you
just
say
not that
yes
person anymore.
Well, they also know that if you say yes to one, like another request, then you generally want to help or generally want to do that.
Yeah. I find people respect your time and respect you more when you actually have boundaries. Maybe not at first, right? But again, that could be a toxic relationship. If they don't respect you, like at some point, if that doesn't move towards a healthier relationship, then it's probably not a healthy relationship, right? And that's all I can say to that, because that's something that everybody has to decide for themselves. And I'm just really comfortable with sometimes some relationships have to go. Okay, my video, how's it doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Silly internet. Every now and then I'm seeing myself move really slow. There I am.
Oh,
It's challenging having a son doing online schooling. So all the streaming going on in his room and mine, we're like chewing up, I think, all the Wi-Fi in Canada. I don't know. Okay, so the next one is how to feel confident and assertive. I like that assertive word versus aggressive when setting boundaries consistently, and how to recognize when the boundaries are being crossed. And I think we covered that in one of our last videos of when you can feel that the boundaries being crossed. It's really your feelings.
Yeah.
Right? Like just being honest with yourself. Did that feel uncomfortable? Does it feel like somebody disrespected you or whatever? And I said, that's just the best example of what it feels like when somebody is crossing a boundary. And then it's a matter of how do you feel confident? You build that over time. And assertive,
Like anything else.
yeah, that's right.
Anything else.
And assertive is getting to a space where you can respond intelligently and not react
Yes.
quickly. You know what I mean? Like
And not out of anger.
right. No, out of fear.
Yeah.
Of, fear that they won't like you, fear that they think something bad of you, or, like, no. Every decision with boundaries has to come from that space of love for yourself. And really, it's best if it can come from a space of love for them. For us to have a healthy relationship, this is what's needed. You know what I mean? And the last.
And how do you
go ahead.
How you want somebody to talk to you would be a good way to define that. In the way you're going to talk to somebody else. Think about how you would feel.
Yeah. It's funny, they say the golden rule is treat people the way that you would like to be treated. And I read a great book called The Platinum Rule, and it's treat people the way they would like to be treated. Now, you can do that from your side, but they may not have read that book. They may not have got that memo. But when you start thinking about that as a communication thing, and again, as you grow in that area, you start to create a space for other people to do the same thing. You can be the example, right? Okay, and then okay, so this gal, she said, this one was a statement, and it's fantastic. She said, spoke of know thy truth, which makes it easier to be courageous. And that's the truth. Like we talked about, allowing yourself to feel your feelings and use those feelings, not to push them down because they're uncomfortable, but to use the uncomfortable feelings to really get to know your values and know more about yourself, so that you can use that to establish healthy boundaries, healthy communication. How can we get better at being us? Right? And honestly, you do it through your emotions. You do it, and that's how life teaches you. You have an experience, I didn't like it. What can I learn from that? I talked to somebody, they weren't nice to me. It made me feel like this. Why did it make me feel like that? Because I don't like that. Okay, great, boundary. Whatever. Like, this is how we navigate life more successfully, right? So the know thy truth makes it easier to be courageous. It sure does. Once you see where a boundary needs to be, you are more inclined to be courageous to establish it.
Yes.
And if you're not clear in it, then you will be loose and wishy-washy and continue to struggle until you are willing to really be honest with yourself. And then change can actually happen. This has been a great week, Cindy. Do you have anything else you want to add to boundaries before we log off?
Oh my gosh. I think we covered a lot of ground here.
We really did.
But like we would love it if you still put comments in or questions or anything like that, because it's a growing experience for everybody.
Yeah.
Listen,
I mean, and I'm constantly growing in this, right?
Exactly.
I mean, because every day new experiences pop up with maybe the same people, maybe different people, maybe different experiences, but every day things are happening where, we're evolving and we're learning more about ourselves and all of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, I think we could do boundaries every week for the rest of our lives. There's like,
and have fun learning what your feelings mean.
Yeah.
Because the feelings were given to us as indicators, whether it be bad, whether it be good. So like, explore the feelings that you're feeling and try to figure out how you can cope with a certain one. Like if you're feeling guilty, like just dive into that and see why you would feel guilty.
Yeah.
Is it because the person, like expects it, you don't want to, like, is it because you're not going to be liked? Is it because you feel like you're not being nice? Is it because that society doesn't like to hear no? Like you really have to explore.
Yeah. I know when I started this journey, and I mean, the internet can be a wealth of knowledge and books, authors. I mean, we've talked about this before, Cindy. It doesn't matter where it is you'd like to grow or need to grow, that somebody has dedicated 30 years to mastering that topic, and they've wrote books about it. And there are people that have little YouTube videos that how not to feel guilty. Watch the video, right? You might learn something.
So you'll take something out of each one.
Yeah.
And make it, and it might resonate with you.
Yeah, maybe nothing resonates and you go on to the next one. Don't dismiss anything, because somebody has something of value that will click for you, and then make it your own. Play with it, have fun. And as you master navigating a particular emotion, you will find life will give you less opportunities to feel that, right? Because I truly think that we're here to grow and expand and evolve, and part of our journey is that. And as you get a lesson, those things, you don't need to be, you don't need that to come up for you as much anymore, but every now and then you'll have a test to remind you, did you really know that? But that's how it is. And that's why I say to people, man, go do the work. Because I find, like, even through my business, there was things that I had real hangups and limiting beliefs, and as I overcame them, I just, for some reason, all those people with those issues went away. Like, it's amazing. And it's like, it didn't go away. I just didn't see them anymore because they weren't what I needed to see. It'd be something else. So, and then, and that trickles, as that emotion is handled in one area of your life, you get better at navigating how to use that emotion to grow in other areas of your life. So again, when we say it changes your world, it literally changes your world.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Great week, you guys. Oh my gosh, please let us know what you think. Was this valuable for you? Do you know anybody else that could find value from this? Feel free to add them to our community. We'd love to have them. There's going to be more events coming. I don't know what the next one's going to be, but we'll keep you posted. All right. Take care, you guys.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening. Bye.